My name is Lily Madwhip, and I see things before they happen.
Don't stare at me, ass face.
That's my brother, Roger. He doesn't see things before they happen. I know this because if he did, he would see what's about to happen to him. Then again, maybe he does. But people like us can't see things that are about to happen to ourselves. I don't know, truthfully. All I do know is that in about 3 minutes, Roger is going to die. You're gonna die, I tell him.
Did you just threaten me?
He snarls. Roger is 6 years older than me. He goes to high school and has 2 best friends named Skeeter and Dustin. They like to wear shirts without sleeves that have the names of heavy metal bands on them. Sometimes they hang out in the garage and try to play music like those bands until my dad goes and yells at them to stop. At his funeral, they're going to wear jackets and ties and their hair is going to be combed for once. I'll never see them after that, which is nice. I love Roger because he's my brother, but when he's gone, things will be a little bit nicer. Sorry, Roger. No, I told him truthfully. I'm just trying to warn you. I love you, Roger.
Shut up, weirdo.
He punches me in the shoulder, and I cry, like I'm supposed to, but it doesn't really hurt. Mom's head swivels around on her neck from the front of the car, and she gives us both that look that says she regrets having us. I know she doesn't, but all parents think that from time to time. I wonder where I'd be right now if I'd never had kids. No, I'm not a mind reader too. I just know these things.
Will you two knock it off back there?
Mom asks. It's not really a question, though. It's an order. Adults can give orders in the form of questions. If you're a kid and you try to do this, it doesn't work. I once tried to order Roger to give me back my doll, Pashar, by asking him, and he laughed at me and twisted Pashar's head off. Mom had to sew it back on, but she's never been one for sewing, so it's kind of crooked now. I told her I didn't mind, that it gives him personality. Mom and Dad thinks it's weird that I named my doll Pashar. I don't know why. Pashar was an angel, after all. People don't think it's weird if you name your doll Gabriel or Michael or Layla. But give it the name Uriel or Gavriel or Pashar, and everybody gives you funny looks. I hug Pashar in my arms and look out the front of the car. There's a sign that says, Rest Area 1 mile. Beneath it is a smaller sign that says, Next Rest Area 46 miles. And at the speed my dad drives, that should take us about half an hour, I think.
Rest area coming up,
Dad says.
Anybody need to go?
We stopped hours back at a McDonald's and I had a cheeseburger with some fries and a small Sprite. Couldn't finish the burger or the fries, but the Sprite made my tummy happy, because sometimes I get a little carsick, so I drank the entire thing. Now I need to go, but this is where Roger dies, so I lie.
I don't.
Thinking about having to go makes it worse. I cross my legs. Roger notices.
Lily has to go. She's squirming around back here. I don't want her pissing on me.
He makes a grossed out face, and I can appreciate the genuine disgust of being peed on by someone else, but Roger, I'm trying to save your life here. Mom looks back again, and I shake my head at her.
Lily, if you have to go.
I don't.
She does, and I do too,
Roger declares. I don't think Roger actually has to go. Dad turns onto the ramp for the rest stop, ending the conversation. There's 2 lanes, one for the big trucks, one for the little cars. Our station wagon takes up the second lane and wraps back around to go up the hill to the parking lot for the rest area. There's some sort of big rock on a pedestal with a commemorative plaque at the base with lots of names of people who are dead. Other families are going in and coming out of this glass-wrapped building. I wonder how far we are from the nearest hospital.
Everybody out,
Dad declares.
Lily, hurry,
Mom says as she unbuckles her seatbelt and opens the door. I look over at Roger one last time and try to smile. He looks back at me. For a moment, there's the faintest glimmer of recognition in his eyes. I think maybe he's going to shut the door and stay in the car. Then he sneers at me, and the moment is lost.
Stop staring at me, ass face.
Language, Roger, Dad says. In his tone, that means he doesn't really care, but has to act like he does so Mom won't get mad. We all get out. Mom holds my hand as we cross the parking lot, even though I'm not a baby. I keep looking back at Roger and Dad and waiting for it to happen. Roger's going to die. I know it. I just don't know how. Maybe that big rock is going to come loose from its base and fall right on top of Roger like a boot on an ant. I've stepped on ants before. I always say sorry afterward, but it's kind of pointless by then. I wonder if his insides will squish out like they do on ants. The rock does not squish Roger. My mom takes me into the women's restroom. We do our business. The toilets are the ones that flush automatically. They always scare me. Like, I think the one I'm on won't detect that I'm on it anymore and flush, and I'll get sucked in. I go, but the whole time I'm waiting to hear the shouts and cries from outside. Maybe Roger gets sucked into his automatic toilet. My mom has a word for something like that. Apropos. Roger does not get sucked into the automatic toilets. We meet out in the lobby area where they have a information kiosk and a little cubby hole filled with sightseeing maps and brochures for hotels and water parks. I want to look at one about an outdoor animal safari zoo. But Dad is in a hurry to get back on the road, so Mom drags me back out to the parking lot. We pile into the station wagon with empty bladders, and I'm feeling a bit confused because Roger is still alive, and it's been at least 10 minutes since I knew he was going to die. I don't say anything on the matter because Mom and Dad don't like it when I talk about my premonitions, as they call them. Also, I'd rather not jinx it if I'm actually wrong for once. Roger's kind of mean, but he's my brother, and I love him. I hug Pashar and stare out the window as we pull out of our parking space. Suddenly, Pashar is snatched from my arms. I turn, startled, to see Roger holding the doll out his window, waving it in his hand. He grins at me.
Hey, assface, want to see if your dolly can fly?
I realize this is the moment. I can't help but say something. This is when you die, I tell him solemnly. Roger's smirk is replaced by one of anger. He lets go of Pashar, who disappears beneath the wheels of our car. In my distress, I cry out, lurching against my seatbelt, as if I can whisk out the window and snatch Pashar up before he's lost forever. Mom turns and starts asking loudly what just happened. Dad turns to yell at us to stop it. Lily, stop screaming. Roger, what did you do? Roger, what did you do? My father is looking in the rearview mirror at what he considers his two biggest mistakes. My mother is passing her glare back and forth between Roger and I. Roger is looking at Mom and Dad and trying to put on an innocent expression as he lies and tells them that I started it. Only one of us is looking at the lane for the big trucks that we're currently merging with at Dad's typical high rate of speed, and that's me. What do I see out Roger's window? But a giant truck with lots of big tires and a large trailer on the back barreling down at us, with a driver in the cab who looks as shocked and confused as I am. I'm not screaming for Pashar anymore. I'm screaming for my dad to brake or steer or anything, but he can't tell the difference between one type of screaming and the next. And anyway, it's too late. You know what a T-bone is? I always thought it was a type of steak. My Uncle George ordered a T-bone once at a restaurant. He gets this massive piece of meat with the bone still in it. That's why they call it a T-bone, because the bone is looking like the letter T. Apparently, T-bone is also a type of collision where one vehicle strikes another in the side, because the two vehicles make a T shape, just like the bone in the steak that my uncle ordered. And that's what the big truck does to us. It T-bones us right before the on-ramp to the interstate. The nearest hospital is 23 minutes away. I would never have guessed that number. They take Roger and my dad there in an ambulance. Dad has a dislocated shoulder and lots of cuts and bruising. Roger is airlifted to Boston Memorial. He gets to fly in a helicopter, although he isn't conscious for it, so he kinda misses out. He dies from internal injuries before he gets there. Mom and I are treated for lots of little cuts from glass and stuff. The driver of the truck is fine, but shook up by the whole thing. I hope he doesn't blame himself for Roger's death. That was nobody's fault but Roger. One of the emergency medical people who treats us finds Bashar, and he gives him back to me. He always finds his way back to me. The EMT asks me what my doll's name is and gives me a funny look when I tell him. I don't tell him that he's about to get a call from an old lady who suffered a stroke in some place called Middlebury. That kind of trivial information is lost on some people. Kind of like I know my mom and dad are going to cry and hug each other and worry about Roger until they find out he's dead. After that, Dad will get more distant because he secretly blames me. It's not a secret, Dad. I know. And Mom will hug me a little tighter each night at bedtime. I see it. But they don't need to know I do. I hope Roger's in a better place. But Bashar tells me he's not. Bashar is always right. My name is Lily Madwhip, and I don't need a therapist.
Do you think Roger is with God, Lily?
That's my therapist. Her name is Miss Christie. She's about my mom's age, but uses less makeup, probably because she doesn't have any kids of her own. Miss Christie wears a little chain around her neck with a cross on it. She also wears a jacket with too many buttons and not enough holes. I wonder what all those extra buttons are for. She always wears the same jacket. Does she only have one, or does she have lots of jackets and they all look the same? I'm never going to know the answer to these urgent mysteries. Ever since Roger died, I have to sit in this room twice a week with shelves full of books about child psychology and drawings by other kids on the walls and talk to Miss Christie. I guess Mom and Dad thought I wasn't handling Roger's death appropriately. Well, Mom didn't anyway. Dad doesn't really talk to either of us much anymore. Mom is out in the waiting area with Bashar. I'm not allowed to bring Bashar in with me when I talk to Miss Christie. Other kids get to bring things in. There's this girl with black hair who always shows up with this teddy bear that chuckles when she squeezes it. One kid even brings a toy fire engine with flashing lights. Flashing lights can cause seizures. I don't think Miss Christie likes Bashar. Sure, I shrug. Roger's in heaven. Roger isn't in heaven. He's not in hell either. Roger's not in some underground cave filled with red demons carrying pitchforks that stab him as flames shoot out of the rocks. He's not sitting on a cloud with a harp either. I think he'd be pretty annoyed if someone handed him a harp. He'd probably throw it at them and call them an ass face. Roger is on the other side of town in a place called Holy Oaks Cemetery, where Mom and Dad paid for a plot in the back by a willow tree and a creepy stone crypt with an angel on top that looks nothing like a real angel. They got a little polished stone marker to put on his grave that just says Roger T. Madwhip in all caps and beloved son in cursive underneath. And that's where Roger is. There, in his dead body, in a suit he'd probably make a face at if you told him he had to wear it, in a coffin with white padding, I suppose in case he gets uncomfortable, laying in the dark, 6 feet underground, with dirt and worms on top of it all. Pashar says Roger is in purgatory, which I guess means laying in your dead body until they decide what to do with you. Did you know there's 200 bones in most people? When one gets broken, like if a man in a mask strikes you on the arm with a crowbar, the body knows how to repair it over time. Unless the body is dead, then they just stay broken forever, I guess. Roger ended up with lots of broken bones. Some of them were broken more than once, too. It was like a dozen guys in masks with crowbars just pounded on him for an hour. Now he's stuck in his coffin with that suit he hates and a whole bunch of broken bones that are never going to heal. I wonder when they decide where he's going, if he's going to pop out all floppy like a jellyfish. The idea of Roger like a squishy sack makes me laugh. Miss Christie jots this down. I go stand by the window overlooking the parking lot. It's cold and wet outside today. There's a slick spot on the sidewalk into the building where Miss Christie works. I can see it from her office. A lady and her son are walking in from their car. The boy is probably a couple years younger than me. He's wearing a pair of brown corduroy pants. He's going to slip on the slick spot, get those pants wet, and end up crying. But there's nothing I can do about it, so I look away. I hear the commotion from outside a moment later. It didn't rain when we buried Roger. I thought it was always supposed to rain when there's a funeral. I even dreamt that it had rained. But the rain was lots of little bits of glass, and it was cutting everybody. Roger's friends Skeeter and Dustin were there in their suits and their hair combed. They were crying because the glass was cutting them. Everybody was covered in blood. Mom said if it rained every time there was a funeral, it would never stop raining. That sounds like there's a lot of funerals going on.
Do you miss him?
Yeah. Roger hid my foil Charizard before he died, and now I don't know where it is. Uncle George gave it to me for my birthday when I turned 5 because he was getting rid of my cousin Susie's old collection. He said if I hung on to it, I could probably use it to pay for college someday. Susie was a year younger than Roger. She died in a boating accident one summer during a family reunion. When people hear boating accident, they think you were in a boat and that there was an accident, like maybe you hit another boat or ended up out of the water. But Susie was in the water and the boat ran her over, so I think it was more of a swimming accident that happened to involve a boat. I was there when it happened. But that's a whole other story. Ever since, I don't like going in the water. Not as long as there's still boats, and sharks, and piranhas.
Do you ever feel like crying?
Miss Christie asks. She dyes her hair. She doesn't think anyone knows, but I know. I suppose if I really wanted to blow her mind, I could ask Pashar where she gets it done, and what the person's name is who does it for her. Maybe then she'll stop treating me like I'm making things up. Or maybe they'll want to cut open my brain. Roger said they'd want to do that if they thought I really could see things before they happen. But Roger's dead now. I don't want them cutting open my brain, so I don't tell Miss Christie I know her hair color is fake.
I already cried,
I say. I did cry, but only because people expected it of me, especially at the funeral.
I just want to get back to school and see my friends.
I don't have any friends at school. I used to have a friend named Rachel, but I warned her that her dog Ruffy was going to have seizures and die, and she stopped being my friend. Other kids think I'm weird. Jeffrey Baker calls me Mad Lily. That's okay, because Pashar says puberty isn't going to be kind to Jeffrey. If I really wanted to be mean, I could tell everybody that she still wets the bed sometimes, but Pashar tells me not to be mean. Being mean lands you in purgatory. Miss Christie writes something in her notebook about me. I think it says that I'm uncooperative and repressing my emotions. I'm trying to be cooperative, but adults don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear you say what they think is right. If you say something else, they think it's wrong, and you have to start all over again. Sometimes they put you on drugs so they can tweak the chemicals in your brain until you think things you wouldn't otherwise, like how much you miss your brother, who used to give you wedgies and hid your foil Charizard before he died, and now you'll never go to college. Miss Christie? Please, call me Christie. Miss Christie, can I please bring Pashar in the next session? She gives me that face adults make when they know you know the answer, and you're just hoping you'll take the question back before they have to give it. I think Pashar should stay in the waiting room. Why? Because I want to hear from you, not Pashar. She doesn't really want to hear from me, because I would want to talk about why I'm suddenly seeing her lying motionless on the floor of some room with green carpeting and yellow furniture that came from IKEA. Her face is purple, and her tongue is sticking out, and it's all swelled up like one I saw on a frog at a museum once. The frog was dead too. The world is decorated with dead things. I want to ask her if she feels dizzy or lightheaded, and if she had enough to eat at lunch. I wonder if IKEA is an acronym, kind of like the one I saw on the wristband that they'll give her at the hospital. DNR. She thinks you're schizo, ass-face, Roger says in my head. She thinks you think your doll talks to you. I clam up. I don't feel safe without Pashar. When I see things before they happen like this, often Pashar can explain them to me. I don't know why he came to be with me. Maybe because in all the world I'm the only person that bothered to name their doll Pashar. Maybe he knew I could see things before they happened and came to keep me company, and by a crazy coincidence, I gave the doll the same name as him. All I know is he says he's an angel, not to be afraid, and that always makes me feel better. The time for my session finally runs out, and Miss Christie escorts me to the waiting room where Mom and Pashar are sitting with the other parents and their kids. My mom is talking to the mother of the boy who fell on the slick spot outside. He's sitting beside her with teary eyes and a long snot coming out of his nose. Gross. Miss Christie takes Mom aside and they have a conversation in whispers, so I take Pashar aside and also have a conversation in whispers. Two can play at that game. I know Miss Christie is telling my mother about emotional repression, and my mother is asking Miss Christie about pharmaceutical solutions. My mother likes pharmaceutical solutions. I ask Pashar what DNR stands for. Then I have to ask him what resuscitate means. Sounds like I'm not going to be seeing Miss Christie anymore. I want to warn her, but I don't know what to warn her about. Is it a bad fall? Does she have a heart attack? She looks healthy enough. I wish I got a fuller picture when I see things before they happen, but then, does it even matter? Nobody ever listens to me. Mom wants me to stop making things up to explain the bad stuff that seems to always happen around me. Dad already thinks I'm cursed and causing these things to happen. They sleep in separate beds now, and Dad spends a lot of time in the garage drinking and banging on Roger's drum set. I wonder if Miss Christie will go to purgatory like Roger. Miss Christie turns to me and flashes her fake smile. See you next Tuesday, okay, Lily? I fake smile back at her, shaking my head sadly. Okay. Maybe I am cursed, but I don't need a therapist. My name is Lily Madwhip, and I I wish everybody would just stop dying. It's been 3 months since my brother Roger got turned into mashed potatoes by a semi. It's been 5 weeks since my therapist discovered she developed an allergy to shellfish. It's been 2 days since Mom and I picked out this hamster that I named Whiskers because it's got so many whiskers. And now Whiskers is lying upside down in his hamster wheel with his feet curled up and his little mouth hanging open. He's got big buck teeth. Maybe I should have named him Buck. I did not see this coming. How am I even going to explain this to my mom? I want to say some swears, but I'm out of the quarters for the swear jar because I spent my last 2 at the grocery store in one of those gumball machines. Only instead of a gumball, I got a plastic paratrooper with a parachute who's currently dangling from the branches of a tree outside my bedroom window. Shit. Dear Swear Jar, I owe you 1 quarter. Bashar sits at my art table, holding a red crayon because his hands are perfectly molded for holding something like that. I sat him down earlier to doodle, but he didn't draw anything. I made a still life using watercolors. I like still lifes. I always include Bashar in my work. The one I did today was a bowl of fruit and a vase, because I saw a painting in a museum and people like fruit and vases in their art. My mom is at the office today. She's an executive. I asked what an executive does and she says they execute people. Then she and Dad laughed. I didn't know what execute meant at the time, but I found out later. So in school, when we had to write about our parents, I wrote that my dad was a music teacher and my mom was an assassin. Mr. Porter gave me a check mark, but wrote that next time I should follow the assignment. Dad's in the garage right now. I can hear him through the door, tapping on Roger's drum set as I carry Whiskers to the kitchen to get one of the little plastic food containers Mom buys in bulk for me to bury pets in. Normally, my dad is in his workroom trying to write music, but he hasn't done a lot of that since Roger died. He said he's working on a dirge. Apparently, that's a piece where you go to the liquor store at midnight, then come home and drink out of a snare drum. I only know this because I woke up once and went downstairs to see what the noise was. I am not a fan of dirges. Whiskers is a little too fat for the plastic container, but if I squish the top, I can still seal it. I run back upstairs to get Bashar and my jacket. I need to hurry because Dad's going to hurt himself by accident soon, and come into the kitchen angry and bloody looking for the Neosporin. If he sees me with another dead pet, he's going to wig out. It's warm out today, and the ground feels soft. Mom keeps the gardening tools in the shed. I grab a towel. My next-door neighbor, Jamal, is in his backyard climbing a tree by the fence. This fence separates our houses. He sees me and waves, and you should never wave while climbing trees. That's how people fall out of trees. I wave back.
What are you doing?
I call to him.
There's a thing in the branches near your house.
He points at my bedroom window.
That's my plastic paratrooper,
I say.
Finders keepers,
Jamal laughs, climbing up several more branches that reaches over our fence. I don't think this is going to end well. Bashar agrees.
You're gonna fall and die, Jamal,
I warn him. Jamal freezes on the branch. He looks at me. And for a second, I see the branch he's on snap and him landing on the fence and the wood slats impale him. He's laying there flopped halfway across the fence, staring at me, at which point Dad's going to come out and say, "What did you do now, Lily?" And I'm going to go to adult jail. Oh, and maybe I'll get a trial first? But the branch doesn't snap, and Jamal slowly, carefully shimmies back down to his side. A moment later, he peers at me through one of the holes in the fence.
Was I really going to die?
Yes. I don't actually know. You want to help me bury my hamster? Okay. Jamal goes around to the front yard and comes up our driveway. I like Jamal because he listens to me. He's a year older than I am and goes to different schools because his parents are Catholic. He always has to wear a tie to school. Roger's head would have exploded if he had to wear a tie every day. What happened to Whiskers? Jamal asks, looking at my hamster mushed into the container. He ran himself to death. I don't actually know if that's true. It seems plausible, though. Can you do that? Absolutely. Mom marked out a section of the backyard by the woods for me to bury pets. It's behind her garden, where she apparently grows dandelions and those weeds with the pointy leaves. If you go into the woods, it eventually comes out at the highway. Roger used to go into the woods with his air rifle and shoot soda cans with his friends Skeeter and Dustin. They tried to take Bashar once and were going to use him for target practice, but I grabbed him back and hid under the front porch until they gave up. There's a lot of spiders under the front porch. I don't like going under the front porch anymore. Jamal holds Bashar and Whiskers' plastic coffin while I start digging a hole between Raphael, my ninja turtle, and the goldfish I never named. Raphael got stuck on his back with his head underwater and drowned. I didn't even think turtles could drown. The goldfish I never named got some sort of disease called ick and fell apart, and then the parts got sucked up into the filter. So all I buried was the head. Every pet has a story, but it would take too long to tell them all. I'm tired of digging, so Jamal takes over. He's much better at digging than me, but that's because he helps his dad shovel snow in the winter. My dad uses a snowblower. He always offers to use it on Jamal's family's driveway, but Jamal's dad always says shoveling is good for them. Definitely pays off when you've got a hamster to bury. Once the hole is dug, and not too deep, we put Whiskers' coffin in, and Jamal offers to say a prayer. That's okay. He was just a hamster, I tell Jamal. Animals have souls too, Jamal says. So do plants. I wonder if Whiskers' soul is still in his body. Is he in purgatory, like Roger? I also wonder if this means Jamal says a prayer before eating broccoli. I fill in the hole with the dirt that we dug and pat it down. I'll need a couple popsicle sticks to make a marker, so I offer Jamal a popsicle. Hey, Lily, look. Jamal points into the woods. There's a bunny rabbit watching us. It's gray and almost matches the color of the tree that it's leaning against. Oh, it's not leaning. Oh. Is it dead? Jamal whispers. Of course it is. Bashar tells me not to go into the woods, but Jamal is going into the woods now, and Jamal is the only person that's nice to me, so I follow him. He stops at the bunny and nudges it with his shoe. Oh hey, Jamal got new shoes. They're blue, and they got big swoops on them. I didn't even notice before. The bunny crumples over. It looks like a pile of fur now. Jamal kneels down to see if it's wounded or something, and I notice a couple of black birds in the brush beside us. they're also dead. I don't see any blood on it, says Detective Jamal. I use my boot to brush some leaves over the dead birds.
What the heck?
Jamal is standing up again, and he's staring further into the trees.
Lily, go home,
Bashar tells me. But I don't go home. I'm sorry, Bashar. Jamal steps past the bunny and crunches through the shrubs and sticks until he comes to a big pair of branches lying on the forest floor. Except they aren't branches.
Jesus!
It's a deer. One of the male ones, like Bambi with big antlers. Its eyes are gone, and you can see into its head, but it's dark in there, so you really can't see anything, but its eyes are just a pair of holes now. Its fur looks like it's got run through a washing machine. It's all matted and slick. The whole thing is just laying there in the bushes, with its head on sideways, and its antlers sticking up waiting for someone to trip and fall over them.
What the heck's going on?
Jamal's eyes are bugged out. He's visibly shaking. I wonder if it's possible for someone's eyes to literally pop out and like hang down their face like they do in cartoons. Later I might draw a still life and put Jamal in the background with his eyes popped out just to see what it would look like. I look around us. The ground is littered with dead birds and I'm standing on one. I thought it was just a squishy ground. I feel bad using the word litter because that sounds like the birds are just trash, and they're not, except for chickens. I don't like chickens. Even if I was Catholic, I wouldn't say a prayer before eating a chicken. Broccoli maybe, but that still seems weird. There are other animals too. Small ones mostly. The deer is the largest one we found, but we also found a couple of raccoons, someone's cat with orange stripes. I think it belonged to the Millers down the street. A bunch of squirrels, like a lot of squirrels. Like at first I thought maybe we could bury the animals, but when I started counting the squirrels I thought, no. There were little moles too, or voles? I don't know the difference. But I know there's moles and then there's voles, and they're related somehow, like me and Roger to our cousin Susie who got run over by a boat. I'm getting out of here, Jamal says with his eyes still bugging out, and he runs back to the backyard and down the driveway into his house, yelling, "Mom! Mom!" the whole way. I take a moment to count the animals until I get to the squirrels, and I just give up and go back home. I guess we're not doing popsicles. Jamal's mom comes over later and talks to my dad. I like Jamal's mom. She always smells like coconuts. It's her shampoo. I don't tell her that Jamal's going to have nightmares tonight and wake her up screaming, because telling her that's not going to change it, and she might think it rude of me to say. Bashar suggests I go to my room and draw that still life I was thinking about while the adults talk. So I do. I see my dad go into the woods with Jamal's mom from my bedroom window. And then they come out and she's actually pretty calm, but my dad is hysterical. I don't mean that he's funny. I mean that he's wigging out. Dear Swear Jar, I owe you 2 quarters. When Dad comes inside, he calls Mom at work, and he's using his outside voice. I hear him say angry things about me and my curse. Bashar tells me not to worry, and that it's not me. Bashar is always right. Isn't he? My name is Lily Madwhip, and I think my dad is trying to kill me. He put Brussels sprouts on my plate, I know for a fact that Brussels sprouts are poison. Bashar says they're not, but they sure taste like it. I think. I never ate real poison, obviously. My brother Roger once knew a kid who drank so much cinnamon that he had to go to the hospital because it was eating away the inside of his tummy. That's what it feels like when I eat Brussels sprouts, like they're eating away at my insides. Eat your breakfast, please, Lily, my mom tells me. They're both trying to kill me. Brussels sprouts aren't even a breakfast. What kind of parent makes their child eat Brussels sprouts for breakfast? I ask them this question. What kind of parents make their child eat Brussels sprouts for breakfast? You were told last night if you didn't eat them with your dinner, you were getting them cold in the morning, says Dad from behind his newspaper. Oh yeah. Brussels sprouts taste like garbage. I haven't eaten garbage either, but I've smelled it, and it smells like Brussels sprouts. Lillian Alexandra Madwhip. Adults use your middle name when they're trying to make you do things. And somehow it works. Middle names are magic. Anyone who knows yours has power over you. That's probably why some people don't have middle names. The most important people don't even have last names, like Madonna, and Jesus, and Garfield. Whenever they catch a killer, they tell everyone the person's middle name, so if they escape, anyone who sees them knows how to protect themselves. Dad throws down his newspaper and storms off to his workroom with his coffee. He and Mom had a big fight after Jamal and I found all the dead animals out in the woods the other day. I heard them from my room, where I was painting a still life. Dad said things and people around me keep dying, and stuff about me being creepy, and Mom said I'm his daughter, so if I'm creepy, I get it from him. Then she got on her phone and called people who came and collected all the dead animals in big garbage bags. There was a whole crew, like 6 people. They had these huge, thick gloves and wore masks that you see doctors wear when they have to operate on someone. One lady had a clipboard, and she wrote down every animal they found. There were 23.5 squirrels. Things got worse when Mom came to tuck me into bed because I'd forgotten to tell her that Whiskers had died. All the yelling and the banging of the doors and the van parked on the front lawn and the garbage bags, I didn't even remember what started it all until she came to kiss me goodnight and saw his empty cage. Then everything started right back up again. Except for the van and the people with the garbage bags. I sure hope they don't come back and dig up all my pets. I take the bus to school. Our bus driver's name is Ed. He's been driving buses for 34 years. But not the same bus because buses grow old too. He says his son was in the army, but now he works as a layabout. I think that means he's in the circus? I bet he got a job as the guy who shoots trapeze people out of a cannon because he was in the army. At morning recess, I sit on one of the benches by the basketball diamond and watch a bunch of 6th graders play kickball. Jamal is playing with them. His school is down the street, and he and a couple other Catholic kids hang out and play with us most mornings because their school starts 15 minutes later. He looks happy for someone who still has nightmares about dead deer and birds banging and screaming at his bedroom window. He's going to kick the ball straight at Tyler O'Neill, and it's going to hit Tyler right in the crotch. I'm amused because I get to see it happen twice. Pashar is in my backpack. He tells me I shouldn't laugh at other people's pain, but when Tyler gets hit in the crotch, Pashar agrees that it's a little funny. There's a new girl in our class. Her name is Meredith. Mrs. C.D., that's our teacher, has her stand up in front of the class and introduces her. C.D. stands for Carter Dogbill. She's got 2 last names. That probably makes it harder for people to have power over her. Unless she's got no middle name. Mrs. CD used to be Ms. Carter. Then she married someone with the last name Dogbill and just nailed his last name onto the end of hers. Meredith just moved to town. She's real shy because she's got these marks on half her face. She covers them with her hair, but it's easy to see. Jeffrey Baker asks her what happened to her face and gets into trouble. Trouble in our class are these demerit slips that you get for doing something wrong. 3 demerit slips in a week, and you get to talk to the principal, Mr. Longbow. He yells a lot, and his face is always red from yelling. Meredith's face is red too. Bashar says that she got burned. I wonder if she's a pyromaniac. That's somebody who's crazy about fire. I mean literally crazy. There's this boy in Roger's grade who was a pyromaniac, and he went camping with his Boy Scout troop, saw a spider in his tent, and tried to kill it with hairspray and a cigarette lighter. He got burns all over his body because the tent caught fire with him inside it. Mrs. Carter Dogbill asks us all what we say to Meredith, and nobody knows until Hannah Glass guesses, "Hello?" And then we're all like, "Oh yeah." It was pretty funny nobody knew what Mrs. CD was talking about. I was going to guess, "Sorry you got burned." But I'm not supposed to know that, I think. Mrs. CD makes Meredith sit next to me in the back of the room. Bashar tells me to be very nice to her because new kids are scared. I was going to be nice anyway. I make sure to blink a lot because I don't want her to think I'm staring at her burns. They make her face look kind of waxy, like a candle. "Hi, I'm Lily," I tell her. New kids are the best because I haven't freaked them out yet. "I know." "Oh." I don't know how she knows that. Maybe some other kids already told her about me. I hope it wasn't Rachel, whose dog died from seizures. Meredith pulls stuff out of her backpack. She's got a green pencil that's all glittery and has a rainbow eraser. Her notebook is 3 subjects, so it's already 3 times bigger than mine. She pulls out a Barbie doll and sets it on the front of her desk like I do Bashar. And this thing is horrifying. There's no clothes at all. Most of the hair is missing. There's a black scorch mark on its face, and one of its hands is melted into a lump. I can't help it. I gotta stare at this doll. "This is Barbie," Meredith says, and turns her Barbie toward me. Oh God, its face is kinda melted too. I make Bashar salute Barbie. "This is Bashar." Then I feel bad because Barbie doesn't have articulated limbs like Bashar does, and her hand is a lump anyway. Meredith sits next to me at lunch. Nobody else sits next to me, so new kids usually end up there. But she doesn't just sit at the table, she sits next to me. She has a purple lunchbox with planets and comets on it. I have a paper bag with my name on it in Sharpie. Her lunch is peanut butter sandwich, some carrot sticks, a plastic bottle of lemonade with, oh my God, she has Oreos. I've got a high C and some blue corn chips and a pepperoni and mustard sandwich. My dad snuck more cold Brussels sprouts into my lunch. I can't tell if it's meant to be a joke or not. I swear he's trying to kill me. Meredith asks permission from the lunch monitor to go use the bathroom, and she leaves her melted Barbie and Oreos with me. Not like I get to keep them, but she says she trusts me to protect them. The moment she's gone, though, her Barbie starts talking. It tells me its name is Nathaniel. I've never met another doll that spoke to me like Bashar does. I ask if it's an angel like Bashar, and it says it is. I wonder if every doll has an angel in it. That would be a lot of angels. But I guess if they run out, God can just make more. I ask Nathaniel if Meredith knows he's an angel, and if he minds being a melted Barbie with boobies. No and no. Then he tells me that Meredith has a gift like me. I ask him if she sees things before they happen, and he says that she doesn't. He says her gift is that she burns things. Like a pyromaniac? Kind of. Has she ever burned a spider in a tent? No. She burned her parents, though. Burned them right up. They're not even buried like Roger is. They're ashes. And they got scattered in a park. He says Meredith lives with a foster family now, and they don't know that she burns things. They try to be nice to her, but she's always sad because she knows she burned up her folks, and she misses them. It's okay for her to be sad, Nathaniel says, but if she gets angry, I need to get away. That's when she starts burning things. Meredith comes back and Nathaniel goes quiet. She looks happy because I guarded her Oreos and the melted Barbie. But I'm scared now because what if someone hits her with a dodgeball in gym class and she sets us all on fire? The boys want to play dodgeball all the time because it's the only time they can hit us girls and not get in trouble. The bell rings for afternoon recess and Meredith lets me have one of her Oreos because all I got left are Brussels sprouts.
Do you want to play on the swings?
She asks. Okay. I'm sweating the whole time we're swinging. Out of fear, not because Meredith is hot. I don't know how she burns things. Nathaniel didn't tell me. I think she uses her mind. But maybe she has laser eyes like Superman or Cyclops. Those are comic book characters, though. They're not real. Lisa Welsh and her crew of jerk girls start coming over. She always looks smug. Probably because she is smug. Her dad is a dentist, so her teeth are always perfect, and she likes to show them off by smiling at everybody, even people she hates like me. I'm probably going to need braces. I know Lisa and her friends are going to make fun of Meredith because making fun of people who look different is their favorite thing to do after chasing the boys around the baseball diamond. When we're trying to play kickball and telling each other stories about stupid stuff that their parents bought them, like Breyer horses and jewelry with their name on it, in case they forget their stupid names.
Hi, Lily,
Lisa says. She makes it sound like she's singing when she says hi. I guess that's how smug people do things.
Who's your new friend?
I hop off the swing and stare at Lisa, because I'm good at staring. If you don't go away, you're going to trip and break your front tooth on a rock. I'm lying, but Lisa Welch and her crew of jerk girls don't know I'm lying. They just know that I tell people things before they happen. She covers her precious mouth and starts to run away. But then she trips and falls on her face, and next thing we all know, she's crying and clutching her face and bleeding from the mouth, and they're all yelling to one of the recess monitors that I put a curse on her. I'm just shocked.
Lily Madwhip put a curse on Lisa.
They're crying. Lisa is wailing like a banshee. That's a Scottish ghost that screams all the time. I saw one in an episode of Scooby-Doo. Mr. Longbow comes out of nowhere, steaming, because he's always red in the face like his brain is boiling or something. I think he has the ability to teleport because he's never there, and then the moment someone breaks a rule, he's suddenly right there. He starts yelling at me.
Lily, did you push Lisa? Come with me, young lady.
Meredith hops off her swing.
Lily didn't touch her.
Excuse me?
Mr. Longbow isn't used to kids actually saying things to him, besides crying or wetting their pants in pure terror.
Lily just told her to go away, and she fell on her own.
By then, the crew of jerk girls have hurried off with Lisa Welch and the recess monitor, so none of them refute this. Not that they could. I mean, that is really all that I did. I'm still kind of in shock, though, because I've never had that happen before. I didn't see Lisa fall and break her stupid tooth. I told her it was going to happen, and then it happened. Even though I didn't actually think it would. What if I told Mr. Longbow to cluck like a chicken, and he started clucking like a chicken? That makes me giggle. Mr. Longbow notices. He didn't see my thoughts, though, so it's not funny to him. I ended up going to his office anyway. He likes paintings of eagles. They're all over his office. I wonder if it's because he's bald like the eagles. Maybe he wishes he was a bald eagle. I have to tell him again that I didn't touch Lisa Welch. I just told her to go away, and she tripped and fell and broke her tooth on her own. I leave out the part where I told her that she would trip and break her tooth before it happened. Mr. Longbow lets me go, but tells me to stay away from Lisa Welch. I had no intention of hanging out with her anyway. She and her crew of jerk girls all play with their expensive Briar dolls and make fun of Pishar because I got him from a thrift shop, and he's an action figure. So what? I bet none of their dolls know anything. When I get back to class, Meredith waves and smiles at me. Nathaniel, her melted Barbie angel, is sitting on her desk. I wave and smile back, but I'm still scared because if I'm going to be friends with Meredith, it feels like being friends with a shark. Maybe the shark likes you, but then maybe the shark is hungry and doesn't care. I hope she doesn't burn me. I spent the rest of school quiet because I'm a little worried about saying things and making them happen. After school, I take the bus home. Pishar tells me I need to be careful around Meredith. Yeah, I know. He tells me that there are things I don't know. I know that too. He tells me things are about to get much worse, and that he's sorry. I don't know what that means. I get home, and Dad is in the backyard. He's dug up most of my pets, and he's been filling garbage bags with their remains. He says it's unsanitary to have so many dead things buried in the backyard, and that they probably poisoned the grass, which killed the deer, and the rabbit, and the 23.5 squirrels, and all the voles and moles. But I point out that squirrels eat nuts, not grass, and there were raccoons too. Besides, what about that half a squirrel? What about the half a squirrel, Dad? You're going to put my pets back, I tell him. He doesn't. I don't know why it worked on Lisa Welch, and not my dad. Instead, he tells me to go do my homework, and that we're having pork chops and asparagus for dinner tonight. Asparagus? I'm telling you, he's trying to kill me. My name is Lily Madwhip, and I saw the angel of death. Did you take a bath last night, Lily? That is not the angel of death. That's my mother. Maybe sometimes she acts like the angel of death, though. More often she acts like Anubis. He's a god from Egyptian mythology. I read a big book on Egyptian mythology last year during library. It was huge and had full-color illustrations. I love full-color illustrations. Maybe I'll be an illustrator when I grow up. Anubis had a dog for a head. Not a full dog, but a dog's head. Just the head. He would take people when they died and weigh their heart on a scale with a feather. If your heart weighed less than a feather, you got to go on to paradise or something. I don't think anybody could really pass that test. In health class, Mr. Poyer said our heart is about the size of our hand clenched into a fist and weighs almost a pound. I'm pretty sure a feather doesn't weigh that much. Maybe an ostrich feather? Maybe that's why ostriches can't fly, because their feathers are so heavy. I wonder if they had ostriches in ancient Egypt. Yes, I took a bath last night. You brushed my hair, remember? Mom does that thing where she touches her chin like it activates her brain. Oh, now I remember.
Well, you don't smell like you took a bath. I sniffed myself. That's my clothes. They didn't take a bath. Oh, Lily, go change into clean clothes. I don't want you smelling like this. We're going to the mall today. Yes, I love the mall. There's a carousel at the food court that you can ride for like 5 minutes on just $1. Of course, when you're on the carousel, it feels like just a minute. But when you're waiting in line, you can tell that it's 5 minutes. Also, someone had the good sense to put a candy store right next to a toy store. That person deserved a raise. I jump to my feet and run upstairs to change. Can we go to the pet store? I call down to my mom. Ever since Roger got turned into mincemeat, my mom has been letting me get away with things that she didn't used to. I know if I beg enough, she'll probably get me a new hamster. Or maybe a turtle. I still have 2 Ninja Turtle names left. No snakes, though. She says if I ever bring home a snake, she's kicking me out to go live with it outside. Mom sighs. Just to look, you're not getting a new pet. Your last one barely lasted a week. That wasn't my fault. It never is, I hear her say to herself. I wonder if she believes it. Sometimes I wonder if I believe it. I come back down in clean clothes. Pashar is tucked into my arm, dapper as always. My dad is putting on his shoes and coat and notices me. Leave the doll, Lily. I hug Pashar. What? I'm not leaving Pashar. He's my angel. That would be like Wren without Stimpy, or Gilligan without Skipper. What year is this? Mom pets my head and starts doing that thing where she slowly tries to pull Pashar out of my hands like a crocodile hunter trying to get bit by a crocodile. I only bit her once, but I was 6, and she's never forgotten. I thought that was the point of biting people, so they don't forget? Anyway, I'm not going to bite her now. I was thinking it could be just the 2 of us today. Just some mother-daughter time? How does that sound? What about Dad? Dad stands up. I've got a lot to do around the house today, starting with reseeding the backyard. I can't believe he dug up my entire pet cemetery. He let me keep the shells left over from Raphael and Donatello, my Ninja Turtles, but only after he ran them through the dishwasher. I put them on my dresser in their honor, along with a stick I broke to look like a bow staff for Donatello. I couldn't find sticks that looked like Raphael's size. Size are like little pitchforks, so they can share the bow staff. I don't want to leave Bashar, but both Mom and Dad are against taking him. They've got that look parents are getting when one is ready to tag the other in if I start to throw a fuss. Okay, I mutter. But let me talk to him first. I know they're both looking at each other like I'm crazy, but I don't care. Bashar tells me it'll be okay. I set him at my spot on the dining table facing the door, so he'll know the second I'm home. Of course, he always knows anyway. That's what Bashar does. He knows everything. Mom says the mall is 20 minutes away. Without Bashar to talk to, it feels like an hour. I try talking to my hand, but I can see Mom giving me looks in the mirror, and I don't want to add to her thinking I'm crazy. Instead, I look out the window, and there's a guy walking a dog. I want a dog. But then I see the dog is going to poop, and the guy is going to pick it up with his hand inside a baggie, and I decide maybe I don't want a dog. Cats are cleaner. Dad's allergic to cats, though. They lick themselves and their saliva dries up and turns into dandruff, and you pet them and their dandruff gets patted off and people inhale it. And in my dad's case, it makes his nose clog up and he sneezes constantly. My Aunt Hazel has 12 cats. Dad doesn't come with us when we go to visit her. She lives in Oklahoma anyway, and that's a long way off. When we get to the mall, it's packed. Mom circles the parking spaces near the Macy's several times trying to find a space. I don't know why she doesn't just park in one of those 1,000 empty spaces farther out. There are other people doing the same thing as us,
It's some sort of game grown-ups like to play, like musical chairs, only with parking spots.
I heard you made a new friend at school, Mom says as we finally walk into the store. Maybe.
I don't want to talk to her about Meredith, because I might mention her burning people or her melted Barbie Nathaniel. Sometimes when I talk about things, I just say stuff without thinking, and then find out that I shouldn't have said it. Maybe if I hadn't told Roger he was going to die, he wouldn't have died.
I got a call from your principal that you were in his office because of an altercation.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like some sort of vacation where you turn into an animal.
Did you get into a fight with Lisa Welch?
No. I told her to go away and she ran off and fell on her face. Then her friend said that I did it. I don't mention that I told her she was going to break her teeth, and then she broke her teeth. I especially don't mention that I made it up, but it happened anyway.
So you didn't touch her?
I shake my head.
Is that why we're at the mall? Are you going to abandon me here?
My mom laughs. I don't think it's funny though. Some parents do that to their kids. They take them somewhere far off and just drop them off, and then go home. I saw in a cartoon once where someone did that to their dog. They pretended they were going to a picnic, and threw the dog a stick to fetch, and while the dog was fetching the stick, they piled all the stuff back into the car and drove away.
I wanted to find some new clothes for you, that's all. You're growing out of the ones that you have.
That's not true. I don't think I'm growing at all. We have a chart on the inside of the kitchen doorway where Mom and Dad used to have Roger and me stand up straight, and they'd make a mark with a pencil, and then wrote our name and age to show our height. I don't think mine has moved an inch in over a year. Roger's last measurement was back in August. Sometimes Dad just stands there and stares at it. Gets real sad. And then goes and works on a dirge. We walk by the food court. There's like 100 kids waiting to ride the carousel. I hope they clear out by the time we come back, because I like to get on and ride and then run back in line and get on, and the next time over and over until Mom makes me stop. The longest I pulled this off was half an hour. I only had $5, but the girl who was working the carousel told me that I was such a good customer that I got the next ride for free as long as it was my last. Oh shoot, I didn't loot my piggy bank before we left.
I forgot my money,
I tell Mom.
Don't worry, honey. I've got cash if you want to ride the merry-go-round later.
She's being highly suspicious with her generosity. Normally, if I forgot to bring my money, I'm SOL, as my mom says. That stands for something bad, but I didn't say the S word, so it doesn't count. I'm still not allowed to say SOL, though. At least to other people. There's a lady with 4 little kids hanging onto her dress, and she's carrying a tray of food. She's going to trip over one of the kids and spill all the stuff on her tray that she's just paid for, like any second now. Oh God, maybe I should help her? But what if I run over and startle her and she trips and spills the stuff anyway? Then it's my fault instead of her kid's fault. I don't want to get in trouble. Nobody's going to get seriously hurt. It's just going to be loud and there's going to be yelling and crying. Sometimes I wish I couldn't see things before they happen. Let's hurry. I grab my mom's sleeve and try to pull her past the food court to get away before it goes down. What on earth is your hurry? She asks. Then the lady trips behind us and Mom turns to look at the commotion as the tray bangs on the floor and a soda spills on her kid's head. He starts crying and she shrieks in panic and everyone is stopping and looking except me because I already saw it happen. I think Mom pieces together a bit that my rush had something to do with the lady spilling her food, but she comes to the wrong conclusion.
Lily, did you make that happen?
She looks at me, and she's got kind of a mix of fear and concern in her eyes. Not anger, thank goodness.
No, what do you mean? She goes back to convincing herself that things are normal. Never mind, I just thought nothing. The sound of the lady yelling and her kids crying seems to fade away, but it's not like a we're walking away kind of thing. It's more like someone twisted the knob on a radio and turned down the sound kind of deal. I look back over my shoulder and I can see her grabbing a handful of napkins trying to wipe her son off. And there's the son with his mouth open bawling. But the entire scene looks like I'm watching it on TV and someone pressed the mute button. It's not just me either. Other people are looking around kind of confused. And I see a guy on his cell phone and his lips are moving, but then he holds the phone up to look at it like it burned him, and he adjusts his necktie and seems to cough, but there's no sound. So he starts talking really loudly, and it maybe sounds like a muffled shout. Where did the sound go? I look at my mom, who doesn't seem to notice, and I call her name. But nothing comes out. My voice is gone. She turns to look at me, and I think for a moment she did hear me. But she flashes me a smile and then looks away. Maybe I'm going deaf? Why can't I hear anything? After we pass a kiosk selling phone cases, the sound comes back. It feels like being trapped in a soundproof box and then kicking the lid off and finding yourself in a dinner party. Mom stops, still holding my hand, and looks at me. That was weird. Did it just get louder? She says. I nod. I couldn't talk. She ignores what I said. How strange. She's going to come up with some explanation for what just happened. I know it. She always does. Sometimes I think I could melt the car with my brain and she'd just tell me it was sunspots or something. I can't actually melt the car with my brain. I can't even pop popcorn. Maybe when we go to the food court I can have some popcorn. Only now I kind of don't want to go back to the food court. There's something strange going on there. Puppies. I see the pet store. They keep all the puppies and kittens in glass boxes right out front so people come and look at them. You're not supposed to actually buy those from those kinds of stores because someone said that they get their puppies from puppy mills. I thought the mills were used to grind up grain. I read that in the book. Wouldn't a puppy mill grind up puppies? Poor puppies. Maybe these were rescued from being ground up. I don't know what people would use puppy powder for, but some countries grind up all different parts of the animals for medicine. Mom says that's barbaric. Can we look at the pets before we shop? I beg. Please? Mom looks across the mall at the makeup store. I'll tell you what. I'm going to step into Sephora. You can look at the animals, but don't touch. When I'm done in there, we can go get you some new clothes. Deal? Can we also stop at the toy store? I ask. This is actually a trick. I know that if I can get her to the toy store, that she'll go into the candy store as a reward to herself. We'll see what time it is when we're done. Well played, Mom. Now I have to weigh my options. Do I go look at the kitties first because they're so cute? Or do I go look at snakes because I know if I am looking at them last when Mom comes back, she'll see them, and any chance of negotiating a new pet goes right out the window. I don't really need to see the snakes. They're cute and they're small, but some get big and they can eat you. I don't know how big the garter snakes get. I think I heard about a snake getting flushed down the toilet and growing to the size of the sewer pipes. They made a movie out of it called Anaconda or something. I'm going to look at turtles in the back first, because those are the safest bet for getting a new pet. If I look at puppies last, I know Mom will say no, but then I could ask to show her the turtle. Already have one picked out. She'll say yes to that just because it's not a puppy. There's a big turtle that I could totally name Leonardo. Just gotta make sure he never learns what happened to Donatello or Raphael. Otherwise, he might not want to come live with me. Everybody else in the store is running to the front. I wonder what's going on. I walk over to the kitty/puppy section to see a pair of EMTs run past pulling one of those stretchers that they lay sick or injured people on. Oh no. Did somebody get hurt? They're running back to the food court. I wonder if the lady or one of her kids ended up getting injured from the incident with the food tray. I can hear one EMT calling onto her walkie-talkie device. Upgrade to priority 1. Send another unit. Possibly priority 2 on scene. I don't know what any of that means, but they sound urgent. Everybody's clearing out of their way as they run down the mall. Her radio squawks a response that I can't hear, and they're both out of sight. The rest of the people in the pet store start talking to each other all at once. If anybody knows what's going on, I see Mom across the way in the entrance to Sephora, and she looks at me. Then back down the way at the EMTs as they ran. Then back at me, waves, and goes back inside. Something bad is coming. I feel it. It's not a knowing thing like I usually do. It's a feeling. I don't know what it is, but there's something strong and angry, and it's coming. I've never felt something like this before, and it scares me. I back into the pet store, bumping into a shelf full of bags of dog treats. Now I have to pick them all up because I always pick up after myself. Stupid dog treats. Oh, right. Something bad is coming. I almost forgot. Now I see it. I don't see the bad thing, but I see the people in the store with me. And they're all looking shocked and horrified. They're looking at me. Like, what did you do? But I didn't do anything. I knocked over these dog treats. But that's not it. This isn't now. This is going to happen. I didn't do it, I whisper. Why are they looking at me like that? Why are all the pets lying down? Why is the snake lying so limp on its branch? Why aren't the puppies moving? None of the puppies are moving. It's my fault. It's all my fault. The mall thoroughfare is dark. I don't think anybody else can see it. It's not like the lights went out, it's more like fog. But it's black, and it's coming down like octopus tentacles slithering and filling the mall. I'm scared. I wish Bashar were here. Bashar would know what this is. He'd tell me to run. Run, Lily. Run. I go out to the thoroughfare to a kiosk full of sunglasses. I'm standing in the black fog and looking at it as it wraps around my legs and over my shoes and makes it so I can't see my feet. There's a man at the kiosk. He's got on glasses with a little magnifying lens and has a pocket protector with little screwdrivers and pliers in it. He sees me looking at my feet and asks me if I'm okay, but as he asks it, his words fade away, like the radio dial got twisted again. Everything goes silent. All the people standing around still talking about the EMTs who ran past are talking to each other, but I can't hear them. They sound like they're on the other side of a wall from me. They slowly start to look confused as everything goes quiet. And then I see her. She's walking down the thoroughfare toward me. Not looking at me, but looking around her with something of a similar look of confusion on her face, as I've probably got on mine. The black fog is thickest at her feet. I can't see much of her lower half. It's a lady with long black hair, dark skin. She's got a big black coat on, like they wear in old movies. I saw once when I snuck downstairs and crawled under one of the living room chairs and watched what my parents were watching. The lady looks at her feet, or where they should be. Then she looks up and sees me looking at her. She's confused, but she also seems suspicious. I think she knows I'm seeing what she's seeing. She starts towards me. I'm gonna owe the swear jar so many quarters. The air is getting cold. The man at the kiosk puts a hand on my shoulder, startling me, and I jerk away. I inch slowly back toward the pet shop, watching the lady watch me. She's walking straight at me, stepping past people who seem to be yelling, trying to hear one another. Nobody notices her but me. Please don't get near me, please. And then I hear a voice. It's calm, almost a whisper. It's in my head, but not in my ears, just like when Pashar is speaking to me. The voice isn't coming from the lady's mouth, but it's coming from somewhere on her.
Run, child,
it says.
I cannot stop her. She doesn't understand.
I yell, but nothing comes out of my mouth.
I am Duma,
it says.
We are not here for you. You must run. We cannot be this close to each other. Run.
The lady is closing the distance between us. She can't hear it. She can't hear the voice. She sees me trying to scream, but nothing is coming out, and she's marching towards me to do something to me. Maybe she thinks she's going to help me? I think she's going to kill me. She's only feet away. The man at the kiosk with the glasses seems to get dizzy and stumbles back, clutching his arm. I turn and run. I can't go into any of the stores. They're all dead ends. I can't go into Sephora. What if she comes in and my mother meets her? I don't understand what's going on. I just run in the opposite direction of the lady in black. All the animals in the pet store have stopped moving. Everybody's pointing at them, and some of the employees are pushing past customers to see what's happening. Nobody's making a sound. There's no sound at all. It's like a silent movie. Some lady is holding a puppy, and it's flopped still in her arms, and she's petting it, and I don't think she realizes yet that it's dead. They're all dead. My mom comes out of her makeup shop just in time to see me run past. I look at her and hope that I look sufficiently scared for her to get the message and understand why I'm running. She mouths my name, but no words come out. Then she looks across the thoroughfare at the pet store and sees the commotion going on over there. I don't wait to explain. I just keep running, pushing my way past groups of people, trying to outrun the black fog snake that are all over my feet and legs. I look back, and the dark lady has stopped outside the pet shop. She's looking directly at me, concerned, but isn't chasing me. She looks at the glass case full of dead puppies and kittens, then back at me, then slowly backs away and disappears into the crowd. I don't chance it. I keep running. I run until I reach the escalators by the Sears, and my legs are tired from running and I can't breathe. I've been able to hear my own sobs for about a minute now, ever since I got out of range of the lady and her black smoke and whatever that was. Duma? The voice coming from her. Lily? My mom finds me 10 minutes later. She didn't run after me because she's got on high heels, and she probably figured I'd stop once I reached the escalator, because I hate riding the escalator. I'm always afraid I'm going to get my feet caught in it and get sucked up into the machinery. I've heard that's happened to people. Some lady in China fell into one and got ground up. I don't know why people just don't take the stairs. What happened, sweetie? She asks gently. She doesn't usually sound so genuinely concerned. I don't know what to tell her, so I try telling her the truth. There was this lady. She was dressed in black, and there was this black fog all around her. She was coming after me, because I could see her. But when she got close, all the puppies and kitties died, so I ran. She hugs me, but she doesn't say anything. I can feel her start to cry, and she squeezes me. I don't know if she believes me or not. I didn't kill the animals, I swear. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I cry too, and hug her back. I think deep down I don't believe myself. If I hadn't been there, it wouldn't have happened. Duma said it. We can't be this close to each other. Poor Leonardo didn't even get a chance to be named. Mom walks me outside to go around to the car. There's a bunch of ambulances parked near the front entrance. Some people are standing around watching and gossiping. We hear a pair of old ladies talking about an old man who had a heart attack while watching his granddaughter ride the carousel. There were others too, but I don't hear the details, just that several people had medical emergencies. The ambulances rush past with their sirens and lights on as we're trying to get out to the highway. I think I shouldn't have come here today. We'll just order your new clothes online. How does that sound? Mom asks, as we watch the ambulances race through the red light. I didn't do this, is all I say. I know you didn't, Lily, she tells me. When we get home, Pashar is not on the dining room table. I go up to my room to see if my dad moved him to my bed, but he's not there either. Dad is outside pulling up some of the weeds and dandelions from Mom's garden. I go outside and wait for him to take a break. He doesn't like it if you try to talk to him when he's focused on a task. Did you move Pashar? I ask him. He doesn't look angry, but he looks tired, like he hasn't slept in weeks. I don't think I've gotten to look my dad in the face in a long time. Not since Roger's funeral, at least. I remember he gave a eulogy, and the whole time he just looked at me as he read it. Your doll is put away for the time being, he says. I was hoping maybe we could spend some time together instead. Do you want to help me garden? I need to talk to Bashar. I really need to. I need to know who Duma is. I'm so scared, but I can't let my parents know. You can talk to me, honey. I can't. I shake my head. He's not going to give me back Bashar. I know it. I already see him getting angry at me and yelling if I keep telling him I need Bashar. So instead, I run inside and up to my room and lie on my bed and cry. Where are you, Bashar? You said you'd always be here.